something. And I got sick as a dog, and she ended up having to fly back. You know, she could tell that I just wasn't recovering very well. I got sick, and then she said, "You all right?" And I said, "I'm not too proud. If you want to fly it back, that's all right with me." And she did. I could have, but man, that time messed me up pretty bad.
Traffic 267 Mike Echo, turning left downwind, 21, Sykeston.
Now, what did you actually do with the Prowler? Were you pilot or?
Yeah.
You were pilot?
Uh-huh.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you were a navigator. Well, that probably was pretty neat then, huh? How'd you like the carrier landings?
They were exciting. I mean, you know, the hardest part of the landing was keeping track of where the boat actually is, because it wasn't where you left it.
Yeah. I've always thought about those poor guys in World War II. They had to. I mean, those were some damn good pilots.
Yes. You know, fortunately, the majority of my carrier work was either off the Atlantic coast, the Mediterranean, or the Red Sea. So we never really had a whole lot of this kind of stuff. There were some storms. We spent a lot of time running around and away from Hurricane Hugo one year during carrier workups. So, you know, you got the feel of the pitching deck and everything.
Right, but nothing like out in the Pacific and stuff, huh?
Med was generally smooth, and the Red Sea, you know, wasn't. No, but the aircraft carrier could always turn into the wind for you. So you never had to deal with
crosswind, yeah.
Yeah. And your landing was about, 130 to 150 knots, depending on. So, the carrier could crank it up to about 35 knots, which, your relative speed.
Yeah. Well, this one, we shoot for about 85 to 90 over, right at touchdown.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty good speed.
Yeah, you always got to have enough to go around again if you miss.
Yeah.
Down to 3,000, 1 Juliet.
The electronics and navigation have really changed the way.
I tell you, GPS is totally. I'm going to go up. It is a little bumpy down here. Oh yeah, it has just totally changed everything. People, because I learned, back when in fact, I got my instrument without even GPS.
Right.
Heck, I was doing NDB and everything else.
NDB and TACANs and
yeah. But yeah, once you got GPS and planes, I mean that just takes anybody that can't get around. But the trade-off is as the avionics got better, the airspace got a little bit more complicated
Right,
too.
exactly.
So it kind of trade-off. You've got to be a little bit more precise when you're talking about some more complicated airspaces and stuff.
180 or slower, and then 19 for 21 Victor Juliet.
Yeah, and then with the advent of sport aviation and people with parachutes and paracopters and all kinds of other stuff that you'd rather not run into.
I'm laughing because, yeah, you know, there's over there at Bolivar, there is that jump place there, and I've always laughed when he says shoot, you know, parachuters away. It's like, what the hell am I supposed to do, you know?
Right. Keep your eyeballs open. Watch for objects falling out of the sky.
Traffic no factor 74 Mike.
How many hours did you end up with, you know? Y'all really keep track of it that
really
much?
Don't keep track. I know it was 196 carrier landings.
Okay, radar service, Columbia 4, appreciate you for your
Yeah, they sent us home from Desert Storm after all the air shooting stopped, so I didn't get my last four.
Okay.
In, but it was probably somewhere around 1100, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's why because I worked with somebody at Snyder. That was one thing. After Desert Storm, was actually, that's, you know, when I was still working at Snyder, we had a smart idea. We hired a lot of the people that were getting out of the military after Desert Storm, you know, because but it worked out pretty good because, you know, truck drivers, we were trying to get them home every 2 or 3 weeks. And hell, the drivers were saying, well, hell, my wife used to be being gone 6 months to a year at a time.
Yeah.
Hell, they didn't want him home every 2 weeks, you know. So actually, whoever came up with that idea, it was a damn good idea to hire ex-military to be truck drivers, because, you know, most other families are not used to the dad being gone for weeks at a time. And
right.
Hell, you could talk to somebody in the military and say you get them home every 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll go, darn, you know, that's a great deal. So we hired, you know, not only drivers, but some of the dispatchers and stuff too. And there was one guy I talked to for a while. He was a F-18 pilot.
Okay.
And I had more hours than he did. You know, he got out and I was surprised. He had only 200 or 300 hours.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what the deal was.
He must have gotten in, gotten trained, did one tour.
Yeah,
said,
and then just, I think he did just do one tour. He just had a couple hundred, you know, I think I had as much or a little more than he did.
Uh-huh. Well, especially during Desert Shield, we had, you know, really long 6 and 7 hour missions. You would hit the tanker twice because we're doing, you know, electronic reconnaissance up and down the Saudi Arabia-Iraq border. But that was really boring flying, and that's what convinced me that I didn't want to go to the airline.
Oh, yeah.
Long, straight, flat, rudder turns.
Yeah, like I said, that guy there's another owner of the plane. He does the FedEx long haul and the 777s. I mean, he's all over the world. That's got to be some boring stuff.
Yeah. That's my last active duty commanding officer, Captain Parker, was one of the two-digit FedEx employees. And so he retired about 10 years ago, I guess. But yeah, he did a lot of time in and out of Asia, in and out of Europe, a couple around the world trips.
Yeah. Well, and I've talked to this guy a few times, during COVID. He says, you know, it is just so weird. They'll come to an airport and they'll pick them up. He said in China, because he goes to China some, I guess. He says China, they'll pick you up at the airplane, put you in a van, take you to the hotel, and lock you in the room. Where, literally lock you from the outside where you can't even get out of the room. They'll bring you meals, but he said that's just crazy.
Very strict quarantine, and you wonder how much of that might also be political.
Oh yeah. But he said, he said China's one of the worst, of course, because mainly because they got such a bad rap and everything else.
Right.
But he said something about Paris. He went to Paris and it was just. He said it's the international stuff is. He said it pays real good right now.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, on the international economic side, I'm really worried about China.
Yeah.
We may not see it in our lifetime, but I think they are on the verge of being the next monopoly superpower.
Yeah, I know it.
We have let ourselves slip in pursuit of profits. So even now, the fuel pump in my wife's truck has gone out, and they're saying they can't get the chips because the chips are made in China. So while they could replace the fuel pump, the piece that's bad is the chip. And I've got a cousin that works at auto manufacturing in Central Ohio, and he said that they've shut down the assembly line several times because they can't get chips.
Yep. I think that's one of the few things that Trump had figured out pretty well, that we're just too dependent on China. I did not like, the fact that he was a bit of a bully and the tweets and stuff, but from some of the things that I heard and read, he was doing good things. He just wasn't doing it the right way.
Right, yeah, he was very bombastic over it all.
I wish he could have, younger Bush had a good, manner about him where he, the all shucks cowboy, he could kind of charm over some stuff. I wish he'd have had more of a backbone like Trump, or I wish Trump would have had more of his.
More of a public relations. Yeah, Trump was going to do everything his way. And I agreed with the majority of his policies, but I never understood his hatred of the environment.
Yeah.
He was profiteering and at all costs. It was all very short term.
Yeah. Oh well.
But now the pendulum is way off on the other side. Now, I don't think anybody realizes how much good he did for the United States, especially within NATO, to get the other nations
to take some accountability.
pony up. Yeah.
bumpy today.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. I was expecting after that front went through yesterday that it would be fairly smooth.
It was too. I was about half serious when I said on Facebook one time we need to run up and see Derek or something. That's definitely a possibility.
I was fixing to say, he's right there in Dayton, so.
Well, and I looked, he recently moved. From what I could tell, he used to live more in downtown. I think he was in a condo or apartment or something there, and he recently said something about moving, and I looked up where he said he moved to, and he's actually closer to one of the smaller airports outside of town. Greene County or something like that airport. I don't mind the big ones, but man, if I can stay away from the really big ones, that's...
Yeah, the last long trip I took with Dad, he flight violated the edge of Lexington's airport. So when we landed in southern Ohio for gas, there was someone there waiting to talk to him.
Uh-oh. I've never had that.
Like, yeah, I kind of figured that we were going to have issues when I looked off to the left, and there's a jet going in. I said, wait a minute, is that Lexington's? Yeah, that's Lexington. It's like, Dad, we're inside their flight space. Oh.
12007, 1 West Alpha. 21, full stop.
What was it? I went down to New Orleans, that lakefront right there on the river, or right there on the lake.
Pontchartrain.
Pontchartrain. I went in there one time, and I crossed some, not a runway, but I crossed some taxiway I was supposed to hold short of or something. But it was pretty confusing, and I kind of got fussed at for that. But that, I mean, even these days on this, they've even, once you land, it even pops up the runway layouts that you can actually even see the taxiways and stuff now. That is pretty neat.
That really is. GPS, and then just follow the arrow.
Yeah.
Hog air, you up?
Well, there was a news story last night about the impending shortage of truck drivers.
It always has been.
Yeah. So, where in the stream are the auto-driving trucks? Are we still 5 years out or more?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I've seen, like you, I've seen. That scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I mean, I've never seen it in person, but, and I see that more as terminal to terminal, which, that's what ties up the driver's time the most.
Right. The long haul.
Long haul, the team stuff. But yeah, that's definitely a reality. I think it's more of a reality than a possibility.
Yeah. Because I know, Mitchell had exposure to autonomous vehicles at MTSU. I think one of his major professors was involved with self-driving and GPS technology. So they had a Tesla that they had outfitted for full autonomous. But, you just wonder about the safety. They have drones and everything, and I know, as part of the carrier qualifications, at least once a week, you had to do a full hands-off landing. Everybody hated that.
172.
Yeah.
VFR out in the west back.
Your natural inclination is it's not safe, but then in some ways they say I can see where it's as safer than a person behind the wheel.
Right.
You get somebody that's, dead asleep or on the phone or something else, you know, there's, you know, if humans were perfect, there never would be a truck wreck now, and there's wrecks, so.
Right.
Have you been over Blyville since I got all the planes parked there?
No. What do they got?
They got a bunch of the airliners.
Oh, no.
I meant to do that on the way up here, but you got, don't want to take but an extra, that's the airport right there.
Yeah.
Got a couple extra minutes?
Yeah.
They've got that's an old B7 or B52 base.
Right.
They've got airliners parked all over that damn place.
So are they there for the software updates?
No, I think they're there just because they're not being used right now.
Okay.
And I think, because I put up some pictures a couple of months ago when I thought it was 100% because of planes not being used at COVID, and somebody actually saw it on Facebook and said no, a lot of it is some of the older Delta planes that they were going to retire anyway.
Oh, okay. The Davis Motham of the East, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think this is kind of an intermediate thing. I think they've got them here until they're sure they don't need them, and then they're going to
do whatever.
Send them out desert or something.
So have you ever landed at Walnut Ridge, the Triangle
Oh,
Airport?
yeah.
The old P-51 Mustang training base.
Yeah, I've landed there. A lot of times when I hadn't flown for a while, I'll come up and land. Because if you can't land on that runway a couple of times, you don't need to be flying.
Okay.
It's like 11,000 feet long.
Yeah.
It's like, most of the private airports are 3,000, 3,500 or so, and that one's like 11 or 12,000 feet long.
Right.
And it's about 200 feet wide, so if you can't land on that runway, you got a problem.
Approach down 423, that's 211.
Yeah, whenever we were doing cross countries, we made it an effort to stop at the Air Force bases. They always had good restaurants, good ground crews, lots of runway.
See some of them on the right, on the other side of those trees.
Yep.
But the thing that's kind of interesting is they're on the left side, where I guess what I call the ready taxiway, where they had the planes on ready.
Yeah.
Alert. I think they called it more alert, didn't they?
Right. Yeah, that was always awful. Sitting there on the alert in the Red Sea, which is immediately east of the Sahara Desert, running on one engine at idle. When I got home from Desert Storm, I weighed 139 pounds.
So there's still some there, but there's not quite as many as there used to be.
Right. So is that kind of like Millington now, just a municipal airport? Or
Yeah,
is it?
It's a private airport. Now they do have a maintenance shop there that does stuff on the bigger planes. But
Right.
I think these are all just parked. Yeah, there used to be more over here in the alert area.
In the alert,
That was packed.
55.559, right? Take position. Take off runway 18.
2174 Mike, returning to Neo Spain.
Yeah, just verify, is your call sign 2174 Mike or
8174 Mike.
Number 8174 Mike for Roger. And stand by for position.
Stand by for frequency, 8174 Mike.
Memphis 294 Romeo Tango, we're about a 180 heading off of West Memphis, 6.5 for 16.5 VFR. Have an iPhone flight plan on file for Panama City. Romeo Tango, we had a 145 IFR flight plan to Panama City. They're doing a 180 heading about 6 west of West Memphis now, 8,000 climbing VFR.
4 Romeo Tango, Roger, squawk 1033. Make sure you call us earlier next time we need to fly like that because you're deep into the Bravo.
Oh, yes, sir, Roger.
Okay.
You're deep in the Bravo. That's not getting off to a good start.
Nope.
Romeo Tango, radar contact 3 southwest of the West Memphis Airport. And you're cleared to Panama City via radar vector to join the Memphis 188 radio outbound. Fly heading 160 to join that and maintain 16,000.
Okay, 160 heading for now, and we're going to fly the 180 VOR radio outbound Memphis, 0.5 for 16, 294 Romeo Tango.
Well, if he's going up to 16,000, he's in something where he should know better than to not get into the Bravo.
You contact them now 128.5.
Okay, thank you for your help. 28.5, we'll call earlier from now. First time here.
No problem.
First time caller.
Yeah, long time listener, first time caller.
Gas 421 Charlie 17.5, descending on the barbecue with whiskey.
Skywest 402, Skywest 421 Charlie, Memphis approach, expect runway 36 left, release 36 right, release speed restrictions.
Okay, you said delete speed restrictions, 36 right, Gas 421 Charlie.
You
said something, Jenny's sister, what, Morristown or something?
Yeah, Jenny's.
Do you have any other family or?
She's got another sister out just outside Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, okay. Y'all get out that way much or?
Nope.
Nope.
I've never been to visit her.
Really?
Yeah, when we were in Seattle, she lived down in Oregon. So we visited her several times there. And Matt went snow skiing and stuff like that. No, like I said, Jenny just doesn't travel anymore.
Wow.
No. And when she did, it was to horse shows. So, yeah, traveling with a purpose.
Yeah, like I said, my wife doesn't like to travel much now either, but, you know, I told her with this, I said, I'm going to go some places, you know. She doesn't want to go, that's fine, but I retired early to do some stuff while I still could.
Right.
I've got a few friends that like to go, some friends from work that like to go flying, and I told her, I said, you know, if I'm going and it's somewhere they want to go, and she knows them, you know, in fact, there's actually quite a few of the younger girls and stuff that used to work with me and stuff, and they've been out to the house, you know, we had them over. I was trying to just keep in touch after leaving, and then I kind of felt bad for them. They were kind of isolated working from home and you know, all that, and I tried to just kind of keep in touch with them and keep in touch with what was going on at work. And we had them, you know, especially during the summertime, we could do stuff outside by the pool and stuff.
Yep.
But Jill got to know them even better than she did when I was working with them and stuff. And some of them have, heck, they've even said they wanted to go down to the beach or something. And I said, you know,
That's it.
if they want to go and I can go. You know, they're either married or got serious boyfriends and stuff. And I said, whatever.
Steve's airline.
Yeah, you know, and I've done a little daydreaming. I've looked, you know, one thing that I would like to do in the next year or two, I might even do it this year, is fly all the way around Florida.
Right.
You know, from here down to Destin. I know some people that live around Destin. From here to Destin, and then I don't know if you remember him or knew him, Fred McCall.
No.
You know, I knew him from elementary school, and I somehow or another he lived when I was younger. I used to live up in the Bartlett area, and I knew him from elementary school up there. And then somehow or another, I figured out that he went to Briarcrest, but I didn't really know him there.
Yeah.
But we've kind of stayed in touch. I think we kind of got reconnected during a Briarcrest reunion or something. And he lives down around Tampa. He said a couple of times, he's retired now, and he said, come on down and see him. So I thought, well, hell, Memphis to Destin, Destin to Tampa. Tampa, I'm in the neighborhood of Key West. I've always wanted to fly into Key West.
Yeah. Dad has done that several times.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And then Key West, fly up the East Coast. I've got a friend that lives around Cape Canaveral. And then, heck, if I'm going to do that, just going up to Jacksonville so that I can say I went around the whole state and then cut back to Memphis.
Yeah, I've got an aunt and uncle that live in Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
He used to work for NASA.
But you know, I've looked at that, and I could do, spend one night in Destin. So if I left Tuesday after the doc got through with it on Tuesday, Tuesday night in Destin, Wednesday in Tampa, Thursday in Key West, Fridays, Saturdays, and then come back Saturday. So I could do it in a few days. I'm seriously looking at that one.
Have you done any over water flight? Get to the Florida East Coast and hit the Bahamas?
No, I never have. I think the most I've done was over Mobile Bay.
Yeah.
It does get your attention. And like I said, we've got a daughter. My wife's got a daughter. I got a stepdaughter that lives in New York City. I told her, I said, I'm not going all the way up that way.
Nope.
But she, a couple of years ago, she got in with some friends and got motorcycles. And so she started going on some motorcycle trips with them. And I said, well, heck, you come down,
Come into
a couple
Virginia.
hours.
Yeah.
Well, we were actually looking at some places like along the New Jersey coast or something. I said, if you come down that way and I'll come up and I'll meet you somewhere, that's easier for me to get into, and then you could get in a little bike ride or something too. There's another crop duster.
421 Charlie after Bowen, descend and maintain 6,000.
Just on the other side of the interstate.
Yep.
After
Okay.
Bowen, Scats 421 Charlie.
I've looked at that one, and what if I was to do that trip, I could fly from here to Cape Hatteras area. They're actually around Kitty Hawk.
Right. Oh, okay.
Here to go on that coast and then fly up the coast, mainly trying to stay out of Washington D.C. airspace.
Yes.
Cut all the way over and then up. And then meet her somewhere there on the far east coast. That'd be a nice little trip. What I was thinking was I'd fly to Kitty Hawk area. There's actually another little town just on the other. Kitty Hawk's kind of on one of those barrier islands, but up more over on the mainland, on the other side of all that, is a little town where there's an airport there that looks like a nice little place to spend the night. So if I flew there one day, that put me within a couple of hours
Right.
of where I'm thinking we could meet. Then about that, the next morning when she's leaving out from New York, I could fly up and we get to where we're going to meet about the same time. That way I'm not, getting there so much later after she does if I tried to do it all in one day. And just probably head all the way back in one day. There's a couple of things that I'd like to, having the plane and having access to it and everything else, there's a few things that I'd like to end up saying that I did.
Right.
You can only go up to Dexter or something so many times.
Yeah, Dad said that there's another nice landing at the north end of Land Between the Lakes.
Yeah. There's one in there at the dam. There's one there close to the dam. Then there's one at Lake Barkley, which is kind of in between the lakes.
Right.
I used to go in. You could go in there, and there was kind of like it used to be at Reelfoot. There was a state park lodge that had a restaurant there and everything. The last time I went, the restaurant was kind of getting run down.
Oh, really?
We're going to turn back across the midfield at 2000 again.
But what he might be talking about, there's one that's more on the east side up by the dam. I can't remember. I think maybe Kentucky Dam Airport. And you can get a ride from there to what they call Patty's. And there's kind of a little shopping center, restaurants, that type thing that some people fly to that. Actually, somebody said it's usually pretty nice at Christmas, but it was shut. It was pretty much shut down this last year.
Right.
I was going to go up there, and restaurants were shut down and everything else. It's like, well, hell, why go?
Wow. Right. Yeah, Dad. Aviation fuel must be significantly cheaper in Missouri than anywhere else because he flies to Poplar Bluff or Dexter to gas up, and he'll top off when he gets home.
It hasn't been too bad at Charles Baker, but it just recently went up.
Number 4 Sierra Echo, you're 5 miles from Dan, sliding 160, maintain VFR practice first approved.
Just recently went up. It used to be, I'd have to look and see. I think it was
Just verify your call sign
360 or so for a while. It just recently jumped up to like 415.
Oh, okay.
SkyWest 421 Charlie, turn left heading 090.
090, sketch 421 Charlie. Panola County, Delta State 08. Is there any other traffic in the area?
So have you ever been back to Knoxville for football games or anything?
A few times. I've flown about twice.
Yeah.
I was actually going to go. There was a ham radio trade show type thing that was there about a month or so ago. I was gonna go then. I've still got a couple of friends. In fact, it's funny. I don't know, Wendy. Do you remember Wendy that I dated for a while there?
Vaguely.
She lived from around there. She's still in there. We've kept in touch through Facebook. And then there was another girl from Memphis, Dana Carter, short,
Yeah.
blonde hair, short blonde hair. I've kind of kept in touch with her a little bit, and she was from Memphis, and then lived up around Chicago for quite a while, and then she retired last year or so, and she moved to Knoxville. She's there on one of the lakes. She retired, and she's got some nice house on one of the lakes there. You're allowed, you know, you're Tyson Airport.
Clear Division 36 straight, Tower 1910.
And like I said, this radio thing came up. I knew that both of them were. I knew that both of them were near Knoxville, and I said, "Hey, I was going to be there for that radio thing, and they want to meet up." And yeah, it's just a day thing. I said I could go to that. That was actually in Sevierville, Gatlinburg. I said I could fly to that, and then fly over after that thing's over in the afternoon, and spend the night in Knoxville and get caught up with them, and then fly back the next day. And the weather was terrible.
Oh. Never mind.
Yeah. I was supposed to do that, and then I was supposed to, there was twice since I've had the plane. My brother was down in New Orleans, and I was going to meet him down there both times. And the weather's been terrible. He was down there a couple of weeks ago, you know, not too long ago, for spring break. I guess the middle or end of March. He was there for, he's got a son that's sophomore, I guess, Christian Brothers.
Okay.
They were down there for his spring break. They went down south of New Orleans there into the lower part of the Gulf there, the lower part of the Delta, go redfish fishing.
Yeah.
Apparently that's a pretty big deal down there. And he was going to do that, and then they were going to spend a couple of days in New Orleans, and I didn't want to do the fishing, but I said, hey, if y'all going to be in New Orleans, I'll come down there while y'all are there. And that's one of those days that drove me crazy, because it was nice like this, but real windy.
Right.
And, I mean, real strong crosswinds at Charles Baker. I said, I could get out of there if I had to. But it was really windy down at New Orleans, and I asked him later, I said, was it windy down there? And he said, man, we couldn't even hardly walk around. It was so windy.
Wow.
He said, it was insane. He said, there's no way you would have wanted to fly down there. So, you know, it's hard to cancel it. You know, it's hard enough to cancel it because of weather, but to cancel it when the sky's clear, you don't want to go because of the winds, is really tough.
Right. So it is not enjoyable at all to be beaten to death.
No, and this plane doesn't do great on crosswinds. It's got such a big surface area on the side that it doesn't do great on crosswinds. And Charles Becker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, 10 miles to the north west, inbound for landing Charles Becker.
Inbound for 02, Brinkley. Baker traffic, Tom 1469, on turning right base for 36 Charles Baker. Brinkley traffic, Taylor craft 11, Alpha Juliet, 10 miles.
That's the weirdest thing. They've got ATIS at Charles Baker, but it doesn't give you the winds.
Okay.
I mean, I usually get it. If he hadn't have called to say which runway they were using, I can usually get it from Millington. Yeah, the ATIS, it doesn't give winds. I've never seen that before. I said, I never used to fly out of here, but starting to kind of get some of my landmarks now. You know, you got the chemical plant there. And like I tell most people, the racetrack helps. You can see the racetrack and the grandstands and everything for the, especially coming from the east, you can see that real well. I tell most people, you don't realize you hardly ever see the runway until you're right there.
Yeah,
You know,
on it.
you always
right.
got to find some landmark that's close to the runway that you're going to. And so the racetrack works pretty good. And Charles Baker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, 5 miles to the west. Be doing a midfield crossover to enter downwind for runway 36.
Baker traffic, Tom Buck 469, clear of active, Charles Baker.
County traffic, November 169 6 off, 2 northeast, the left crosswind for 01, Panola County.
And Baker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, about to cross over the racetrack to midfield crossover to enter right downwind from runway 36, Charles Baker. He was using 3.6, but we've definitely got us wind out of the south the way I'm crabbing.
Right.
It's pretty much a crosswind. Of course. Here, let me do a teardrop to enter in. I usually don't like that, but I'm a little discombobulated here.
Right.
All right, Charles Baker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, doing a teardrop to enter right downwind from runway 36, Charles Baker. Yeah, when they started that teardrop a few years back, I never really understood that because you're spending so much more time in the traffic pattern area.
Brinkley traffic, Lindy 18 uniform, is going to enter right base 402, Brinkley.
I said, it may be a crosswind where it doesn't really make that much difference. And
Right.
most people, well,
Most people are departing to the north anyway.
they like the north because if something happens, you're heading south, you're in that swamp down there. Charles Baker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, entering a right downwind for runway 36, full stop, Charles Baker. I actually like the flaps this way rather than the electric ones.
Better feel.
Better feel, and they're a lot quicker. there an airplane right there on 36? Right at the numbers. No, I thought I said, no, I thought for some reason it looked like, I didn't hear anybody taking off, but it looked like there was somebody that was right at the numbers on the ground. All right, Baker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, turning right base, runway 36, full stop, Charles Baker. Whoa. And Charles Baker traffic, Cherokee 109 Alpha Tango, turning final, runway 36, full stop, Charles Baker. It is bumpier today than I thought it was going to. Well, the wind does favor 36.
At least down low.
Yeah. You see what I was talking about? We were crabbing so much.
Right. There it is.
I'm going to get a low score on that one for being farther down the runway. There's an app, and I'll send you all the information. There's an app that records all the stuff from the flight and analyzes it down to the last detail.
Right.
And it actually scores you on your flight.
Uh-oh, your landing signal officer.
Oh, man. I tell you, it really is. I'll send you this. You'll appreciate it. I mean, how many? You know, the one thing I keep scoring low on is distance from the end of the runway at touchdown.
Right. Beyond threshold.
Yeah, and then but I score low on that. But then it gives you credit for if you've got enough runway left when you do touchdown.
Right.
And I always have plenty of runway when I do touchdown. So it averages out. But, I mean, it scores you on how many feet off the center line you are.
Oh, wow.
You know, variation within a half a degree on your glide slope and all this crap. And it's like, God almighty. But it's pretty neat. It's, like I said, I've been keeping, you know, record of it and everything. And it gives you good feedback. In fact, I contacted them, the people that do it, and I said, what would be nice is if there was some sort of a recap of all your flights of the things that you're consistently scoring low on.
Right.
You know, because I know that I'm consistently scoring low on touching down too far, but is it because if it could also give me a summary of how I'm doing on maintaining speed and glide slope and everything, you know, on the approach, and if I could see that what's causing, you know, more of that. And they said that's actually a good, because it just scores each flight.
Right.
But there's no recap
No
and I said what would actually be real nice. I said the only way that it would work is, you know, a recap by plane type. You know, if somebody's flying different planes, you know, they would want to know, you know, for this plane, how am I doing versus how am I doing in a 152 or a Learjet, you know.